students do not attend classes. Truancy. They never attend classes. But when it's time for exams, then they want to come and sit for the examination. Now, you have played truancy for the greater part of the term. When it's almost time for exams, you come and sit down to come and write your exam. What have you been taught? What have you studied or learned that you're going to write that paper that is being put together? What have you learned? So they go in to write the examination, and then you realize that they don't do well. And like Mrs. Jackson will keep telling us and would always say, teacher, need feel me. Meanwhile, it's your own doing. So with this, if a child knows that if I play truancy, I can be dismissed from the school. And because when they are playing the truancy, to a large extent, their parents are not even aware.
I disagree.
Let me land, then you can come in with your disagreement.
I disagree.
So if a student knows that, listen, I can be dismissed based on being truant for a certain number of time in a term, and I cannot go back to my parents and tell them that you made it free school, and I pay free school. Oh yeah, then yes, my school. Yes, and I say me man.
So you know for the school.
Then to put the students on their toes for them to do the right thing.
David, that's why I said I think that we need to separate the issues. Truancy, I don't think should be a form of indiscipline.
Why?
The reason why I say so is that if a student is truant and comes back to write exams, I'm not saying that we should justify the truancy, but we need to maybe not look at the dismissal route and look at other alternatives. Maybe when you come back, you can write some specific subject. If you pass a certain mark, then you say the exams or you repeat. Because David, sometimes, what I've noticed in our school is that sometimes the discipline, if not properly done or disproportionate, you have the tendency to destroy the child and not necessarily to correct the child. I don't know if you get the point I'm coming from. So if it's true, for example, in KNUST, if you miss certain lectures, number of lectures, you will not write the exam for that particular paper. It's not like you are dismissed. So for that paper, you have to resit the paper maybe after some month. I don't know if you get me. So we need to have all that codified so that those punishments are not disproportionate one. They are not based on the mood of the teacher or the headmaster.
My only problem with that is...
hold on. Let me respond, because he responded to what I was saying. When you say you are dismissing a child on truancy, the child knowing that he or she can be dismissed and cannot go home to the parent and tell the parent that I was dismissed because I wasn't going to school, will make the child in himself, there's something called fear. That fear factor will let the child go to school.
But David,
hold on. So if you don't want to come to school, who's at fault here? So the point is this: you can try to counsel the child, because he talks about the guidance and counseling sessions there. You can guide the child, counsel the child. If the child still remains recalcitrant and is playing the truancy card, dismiss the child. Dismiss the child, because the child is going to be a bad
influence on the students.
The other bit is this: when we went for that meeting last night, you know that the director told us that all the teachers, he has given them KPIs. And so if a headmaster has given you, a teacher in a class, then make sure that none of your pupils gets, let's say, a C, and there's a particular student in the current situation we have. The child is playing truancy. The child doesn't come to school. Now, Baba Trons of no failure. You, the teacher, will be held responsible that you didn't help the child. You didn't teach the child well. No, the child was playing truancy. And in the old system, you couldn't do anything about it. So in this regard, if the teacher says, well, I'm not going to allow you to write because you play truancy, it's going to affect my grades.
Exactly.
Hold on. I'm bringing the point.
Okay.
So the fear factor is there. Now the teacher can be well armed and say, me my own throat. What am I saying?
That subject,
yes.
Yeah, exactly the point.
What I'm saying, so if you don't write and the record shows that you've absented your school for this number of weeks or months, then the school can say, go home.
David, you are saying what I'm saying. All that I'm saying is that...
No, you say you disagree with me.
Yes,
and I'm saying, no, when I said dismiss the child based on truancy, and you say, one school 2 days, one school 1 week.
No, I'm not saying that. All that I'm saying is that if there's truancy, I don't think... Do I support some semblance of corporal punishment in our schools? That has been established. I'm only saying that when it comes to truancy, we shouldn't say be a crabia kubo biasum. Wakophobia de. When the teacher near that I don't have a problem with that.
The same regard, you can get the student. Uncle Bobby assume, but truants they be also not TV base.
So let me
the whole term.
So you hold on for me. Every time
the students will follow him to go to the
exactly. When we were going to school, Leo, we had about 3 months for a term. We have about 3 months for a term. Now for that 3 months or 2 months, no, we school 1 week. And that 1 week in our ban, you say you come to write an examination. For 2.5 months, you were not in the classroom. You were not taught anything. You come to write the exam based on what?
Based on what?
So the school guidance and counseling session calls you. Oh, do you have a problem? Why don't you come to school? They have spoken to you. They keep talking to you. Maybe they've even invited your parents to let them know that you are playing truants and you're still not coming to school. And we say we should not dismiss such a child. You'll be a bad influence on the others. And for me, I always like the fear factor, the consequences of your actions. So if you know that you'll be caned, you know that you can be dismissed, you will sit up and do what is right. And so for this, but when it comes to the discipline, if you listen to the education minister, he was not explicit on using the cane, but he talks about discipline, which of course we're not doing before now. We should have it. There should not be any limit in there. And when I say limit, I'm not talking about going beyond. But what I'm trying to say is he's telling me that including dismissal, we can discipline a child, including caning a child. Let's cane them if need be, but let's do it with sense, with love, because it's a correctional measure, not to destroy the child, but it's supposed to correct the child. And I'm asking again to the teachers out there, to the parents out there, what's your take on this directive by the education minister? I would like for you to take a listen to the education minister one more time. He's Haruna Idrisu. He spoke yesterday. Take a listen.
You recall my announcement subsequent to it, the president himself came on the reintroduction of parent-teacher association and parents and schools forming part of the management in order to improve the management of our schools. We all have heard of developments in other parts of the country. What happened in Kumasi of a young student having a gun. That's not Ghanaian and that's not acceptable. And I think that unlike the past, the president have given the GES full mandate, even where it is necessary to dismiss. Don't hesitate to do that if the students are not respecting our disciplinary code for purpose of their training. And instances where we had PTAs walk to headmasters and warn them that don't discipline our children, we would not tolerate that. The socialization of the children is a shared responsibility between the parent, the teacher, and the GES, and we expect parents to cooperate accordingly.
So he says for the PTAs or parents who says don't discipline my child, the GES says they will not tolerate that anymore.
No more.
They will not tolerate it anymore. We are in this country where some schools have been tagged as bad schools. School them collaborating the good school it's all because of some of these things. And we have not been able to find a proper